Hello my good friends, I hope you're all doing fine. My name is Jesse, and in this video I'd like to talk about 3 Digimon who sort of break the rules of ranking in the Digimon universe. Digimon who deserve to have a closer look with an in-depth analysis like many other Digimon. I am talking about 3 sisters, all of them called Sistermon. The name Sistermon is not only referring to the fact that they are all 3 of them sisters. If you pay close attention, they have all 3 of them similarities with the religious sisters, as they are called, from the Catholic Church. They are women who have taken public vows in a religious institute dedicated to apostolic works. That is a distinction from a nun who live a cloistered monastic life dedicated to prayer. Despite the difference, both nuns and sisters use the term sister as a form of address. Now, just like religious sisters, the Sistamon trio were also given responsibilities and are dedicated to do their duty as best as they can. And that's saying a lot because they have important responsibilities and yet aren't at least at the ultimate level. 2 of them are champion level Digimon and 1 is but a rookie. And still, they have so many tools in their arsenal, making it quite questionable if they are truly in their right ranking. It'll be clear in a moment. So, the 3 sisters are distinguished from each other by their colors. The youngest one is Sistamon Blanc, with Blanc being French for white. This one is at the rookie level and is the youngest of the 3. Then there is Sistamon Noir, who is at the champion level. Noir means black in French, and this one is the twin sister of Sistamon Ciel, with Ciel meaning sky in French, but it is also a reference to the color sky blue. They are all 3 of them puppet type Digimon, the most mysterious type in the entire Digimon universe because its members don't always share similar features. In fact, most of them have nothing in common, not in name, not in appearance, and not even in abilities. Some say that puppet type Digimon are Digimon who are either controlled or possessed by some sort of controller of some kind. It can be anything from a spirit inside it or a certain code it follows to no end. But then there are others who say that puppet Digimon are anything the developers want. I will leave you with the choice of picking a side. But what I can say on the other hand is that puppet Digimon are not the type who were blessed with certain powers given by the 10 legendary warriors who passed down 10 elemental powers to specific Digimon types. So puppet Digimon sort of live their own existence, but pay attention, they can still be very powerful. Don't underestimate them. Etemon is a very powerful puppet Digimon, many won't be remotely capable of stopping it, and on top of that, it has been seen using dark energy, so you may not even know what puppet Digimon might have up their sleeves. Also, there is something very interesting about the sisters, something which could pretty much play a role in how the 3 are going to interact with one another, and also what they could potentially do depending on the circumstances. You see, Digimon are generally separated into 3 different attributes: data, vaccine, and virus, depending on the influence they can cause in the environment. There are some other attributes, but the 3 here are what you would find most of the time. Sistamon Blanc, the youngest one, is only of the vaccine type, an attribute with Digimon created to prevent the destruction of important data by virus Digimon. They are protectors of the surrounding environment and its own territory, so as a rule, vaccine Digimon are usually good and put a high emphasis on justice and morals. Sistamon Noir doesn't have a vaccine attribute but has the 2 others. There is the virus attribute with Digimon that devour data and are recognized as being straight up evil with a strong desire for power above all else, making them sometimes greedy, selfish, wild, or evil in the pursuit of it. And there's also the data attribute. They do not belong to either vaccines or virus attributed Digimon, but they do need vaccine Digimon to protect themselves from virus Digimon. And data Digimon are known to simply accept the status quo. They just exist according to the already established environment and don't do much to change it. And while vaccine Digimon are driven by morals and justice, and virus Digimon are driven by power, data Digimon can be good or evil even if they generally value peace above all else. Also, know that there are many exceptions in the Digimon universe. These attributes are not the defining factors for a Digimon's behavior, as there are Digimon of the virus type who are heroes and vaccine type Digimon who are straight up evil. But in this case, Sistamon Blanc has a vaccine attribute, making it generally speaking a good Digimon. Sistamon Noir has the data attribute and virus attribute, which would at least give it the potential to either become evil or have a part in itself that looks to be inspired by some level of evil. Then there is Sistermon Ciel, who has all three attributes, which is quite rare, but I suspect that it would make it a more balanced individual with a better understanding of good and evil. By discussing the three sisters' background profiles, I'm sure you will come to understand how the attributes will play a role in how they operate. We'll start explaining the youngest of the three first. So, Sistamon Blanc is a humanoid Digimon in the shape of a young female nun. It wears a pink klobuk over its head that resemble rabbit ears. The klobuk features a pair of eyes and a mouth which mimic Sistermon Blanc's facial expressions. In fact, all three of the sisters wear a klobuk which mimics their facial expressions. The difference is that Sistermon Blanc has one with rabbit ears, Sistermon Noir wears a klobuk in the shape of a black cat's head, and Sistamon Ciel is wearing a sky blue klobuk which resembles mouse ears. On the contrary to its elder sisters, Sistamon Blanc is slightly introverted and isn't as strong, so it almost always hides behind its elder sister Sistamon Noir, who has a totally different personality. This one tends to break the ice with its extremely cheerful personality and innocent behavior. However, it does have some violent tendencies. That is why its younger sister often ends up reigning in its violent ways. Sistamon Blanc often tries to restrain Sistamon Noir's violent impulses, which probably come from the virus attribute that can have a certain influence over a Digimon's behavior. A long time ago, in their previous lives, Sistamon Blanc and Noir were out there in the streets. They were about to collapse from exhaustion. The reason for them being so exhausted is a bit of a mystery. I suspect that there was a fight, but we cannot tell for what it was. They were saved by Gankomon just as they were going to collapse. Gankomon, remember? We discussed it in the Explaining Meramon Digivolution live video, a powerful mega level Digimon who became a member of the Royal Knights because it is a Holy Knight Digimon. But a special kind of Royal Knight, if I can say so, as it rarely stays in the same place. It journeys across the digital world while going around and putting a stop to unusual phenomena and signs of chaos. On its travels, it had encountered a Digimon called Hackmon. It saw in the little dragon Digimon the making of the 13th Royal Knight, probably because it saw or knew about its potential, but probably also because it wants to pass on its own title as a Royal Knight. And it's not necessarily a surprise that Gankomon wants to pass on its title. You see, it behaves quite differently than its Royal Knight colleagues. For example, unlike the other Royal Knights who rarely show their faces ever and never meddle in contemporary Digimon affairs, unless we're talking about a major crisis, Gankomon actually steps down and acts. That is why it is admired by many Digimon. I guess there's a sort of difference in ideologies between Gankomon and its colleagues. They don't act the same way. But I'm sure that Gankomon still is aware of the importance of the Royal Knights in the well-being of the Digimon world, and that's why I believe it much rather decides to pass on its title to Hackmon, in who it sees a lot of potential, than just leaving the team altogether. And so, Gankomon became a mentor to Hackmon by deciding to temper the rookie Digimon with frequent and rigorous trials. In fact, due to Gankomon's stubborn personality, it may even appear as being very strict when dealing with Hackmon, but that is its way of showing a cruel sort of kindness of wanting it to keep up with the other Royal Knights and become independent. And Gankomon saved both Sistermon Blanc and Sistermon Noir when they were about to collapse. As Gankomon saved both Sistermon Blanc and Sistermon Noir when they were about to collapse, they decided to thank Hackmon's mentor by offering their services. They now put all their efforts into being a chaperone for Hackmon, and they also start traveling with Gankomon on its journey to help the fight against chaos. So, they essentially became a team. Sistermon Blanc seems to be really caring for Hackmon just like it cares for its elder sister. And so it diligently carries out Gankomon's request and assists Hackmon in its training to become a Royal Knight. Sistermon Noir is also always near, and it is also taking care of Hackmon and its training. However, Sistamon Noir is working half for training, half for fun, and will point its guns and laugh even while admitting that Hackmon is sad. This truly is the virus attribute having an influence over its behavior, and Sistamon Blanc, who tries to restrain its elder sister when it goes overboard, clearly shows the vaccine attribute's influence. While Sistamon Blanc and Noir are rookies and champion Digimon respectively, it is quite a surprise to know how powerful they are. They have such a diverse toolkit in terms of offensive and defensive capabilities that they might even appear to be much stronger than their ranks. So we can already say that Gankomon did well by accepting their services. For example, Sistamon Blanc fights with the cross-barbed lance that it carries as a weapon for both offensive and defensive purposes. With it, it can, for example, fire a yellow beam of energy from the tip of its lance, or it can generate a protective wave by stabbing the end into the ground. That is actually very impressive for a rookie Digimon, and that is not all. Sistamon Blanc has got to be the only rookie Digimon, or maybe one of the only rookie Digimon in existence that has a different mode. It can change into its awakened form when a holy stigma appears in the center of its wimple. And while being in this form, it grew taller and more powerful. It's almost a bit like the character Maya Natsume in the Tenjo Tenge manga, who mastered the Natsume style form refinement technique. I love that manga. And that technique is a body manipulation technique allowing her to take the shape of an 8-year-old girl to conserve her ki. In the description of Sistamon Blanc's awakened form, it is written that it still is at the rookie level, but I highly doubt it because it changed completely. It went from an introverted Digimon to one whose reserved personality changed completely. And now, instead of looking like a little lady, it looks like a grown woman. And, in this form, it dashes around the battlefield with frenzied movements, obeying battle instincts laid bare. This form shows the potential behind Sistamon Blanc, who unfortunately wasn't given a Digivolution line aside of that mode change. Sistamon Noir is more powerful when we look at its rank being that of a champion. It doesn't carry a lance, but it does carry 2 guns in its hands, which are called Anthony, in reference to Anthony the Great, a Christian monk from Egypt, revered since his death as a saint. He's called the father of all monks as he organized his disciples into a community and later became the inspiration for similar communities through Egypt and elsewhere. He also appealed against the infectious diseases, particularly skin diseases. So the guns called Anthony are used for that which a gun is used for, meaning to fire the bullets in it. Sistamon Noir can also get into its awakened form. In this form it wears a wimple on its head and a holy stigma appears on its chest, awakening its power. The feral power drawn out with its awakening raises its quick wits and movement, and it kills the enemy with a stooped over stance. It is hard to tell how powerful this form is, and I think we can debate whether the form would still leave it at the champion level or make it raise to the ultimate level. But you are all free to leave your opinions about it in the comment section. Before going ahead and explain what comes next after the training of Hackmon, there is still the third sister that we haven't discussed yet. This one is a little bit different. You see, in the background stories of Sistamon Noir and Sistamon Blanc, we know that they were together when they were about to collapse. But we don't know where Sistamon Ciel was. Maybe something happened and they had to get separated, and Sistamon Ciel might have asked to Sistamon Noir to take the younger sister to safety, and that's how the 2 sisters ended up in the streets. Maybe Sistamon Ciel was already separated from the 2 sisters. We can create many stories for what might have happened. I will leave you all with your imaginations and theories, which I hope you will share in the comment section. But in the end, the sisters were reunited and worked with Gankomon, except that each had their own ways of contributing. Before we go ahead, let us first shed some light to Sistamon Ciel. In terms of personality, it is quite different than its sisters. It has a gentle personality, but despite that, it is strong-willed and popular with the Digimon residing in the places it visits. And while it is friendly and leads a peaceful life by day, by night it turns into an assassin who hunts down any troublemakers it receives word of, and it sure has skills in doing so. with its cherished sword named Shirotsume Ichimonji, meaning white clover line, it can cut down the enemy without making a sound. It can rapid throw knives it hides within its sleeves. It can lure the enemy in until they let their guard down, then stabs them in their vitals at close range using the knives planted on its feet, and if necessary and if push comes to shove, it can use its awakened form, a form where each swing of its beloved sword sharpens the blade and imbues it with light. In this form, Sistamon Ciel demonstrates elegant swordsmanship in concert with the brilliance of its beloved sword, engaging in a sword dance that entrances those who see it the moment light overflows from its blade. And just like with the awakened form of its sisters, the feral power drawn out with its awakening raises its quick wits and movement, and it kills the enemy with a stopped over stance. I think that when we take into account all of that, we can certainly see the influence of the virus attribute, the data attribute, and the vaccine attribute. There is an important extra information I need to share about this awakened form. Sistamon Ciel Awakened was created as a redesign of Sistamon Noir Awakened due to religious sensitivities, and now it was designed with a sky blue and white uniform instead of Sistamon Noir's black to distinguish it from the traditional uniform of a Catholic nun. But, and this is also very important, Sistamon Ciel is considered a separate species, which means, when we follow the logic, they could normally develop their own separate Digivolution line, which we didn't get as of the recording of this video. Instead of traveling together with its sisters, meaning Sistamon Blanc and Noir, Sistamon Ciel roams around the digital world investigating unusual phenomena and reports to Gankomon, who tries to put an end to it. Hackmon is always being brought along to learn and to grow, but the caring and nurturing is a task mostly given to the two other sisters. Now flash forward to the future. Rookie level Hackmon digivolved into its mega level form JESMON, with the Jess in its name not being a shortened version of my name Jesse, but it is an acronym for Justice Edge Swordsman. JESMON was given the title of Warrior of Salvation and also ended up gaining the title of 13th Royal Knight member. And what I find so interesting is that JESMON still is forming a team with the Sistermon sisters. Gankomon might be out of the picture at this moment, but JESMON shares the same methods as its mentor. In fact, I would go as far as to say that it actually became somewhat better than its mentor. Let me explain. To follow up with what I said previously, JESMON and Gankomon are the notable exception of Royal Knights who normally rarely intervene in the digital world and tend to work alone when they show themselves. When JESMON senses the unusual phenomena and signs of chaos that occur all over the digital world, it will come running to see how it can be of help, but it doesn't act on its own. Rather than acting independently, it makes a coordinated response with nearby Digimon and the Sistamon sisters because it would rather not act with overconfidence in itself. It much rather work along with others in the field and with its other mentors, the Sistamon sisters, to find the best way to approach a certain problem. And you know what, with just this aspect alone, JESMON might be my favorite Royal Knight out there. I would say normally because of this behavior, but I can't lie, it still shares part of my name. Hello my good friends, we have come to the end of the video. I do have to say that I absolutely adore the Sistermon sisters. We didn't really talk about their Digivolution line as they have none, aside of the mode change that is, but for what they lack in Digivolution line, they do make up in story, in potential story, and even more than that. To be honest, there is so much depth into these three characters that I'm really impressed. They play the role of mentors, they have an interesting sister dynamic, they decided to follow another Royal Knight Digimon and they are working with and not for that same Royal Knight. I think that it is a bit of a bummer that they didn't get their own Digivolution line, because in the end it was Hackmon who went from a rookie Digimon to a mega level Digimon, which made it gain the Royal Knight status. So Hackmon grew as a character, and I'm sure the sisters also grew as characters, so they do deserve another Digivolution line. We might get it someday, but who knows. Leave your opinions in the comment section concerning these characters. How do you view the sisters and their relation among the three of them? How do you view their relation with Gankoomon and Hackmon? Be creative in your comments. My good friends, In the name of Digimon, make sure to like this video to help the channel face the YouTube algorithm. I will have to keep on saying that you might not know how important a like is for an entire YouTube channel. So the deal is simple. You click on the like button and I make the video where I sometimes take an entire 12 hours of my day just for researching, voice recording and video editing. Is the deal? I think we have a deal here. Also, follow me on Instagram if you have an Instagram account. I want to use Instagram a bit more for other types of content, but I want to have a certain amount of followers first before doing it. And in case you guys are new, know that all Digimon videos are placed in different Digimon playlists, which are always updated. That way you can catch up on newer and older videos.